Hi, Crystal Denham with Free State of Mind Sup Yoga. Welcome. I'm so excited that you've joined today. This week has been yoga for beginners, and yesterday I led you through a beginner's yoga flow, the very first one out of my Mark Stevenson book, Yoga Sequencing, which is a book that we used in yoga teacher training. The very first beginner class was featured in yesterday's yoga practice. So today I'm going to talk about the foundational pieces of yoga, the pieces that are supposed to be practiced prior to practicing the physical asana, the movement in yoga. It was once not allowed to be taught asana because it was believed to be dangerous, because we didn't have anywhere to send our energy. Our energy wasn't grounded. And you couldn't be taught any of the physical asanas until you have mastered your yamas and niyamas. So what are the yamas and niyamas? In the Yoga Sutra of Patañjali, Patañjali was a Indian sage, that a scholar who wrote the 8 limbs of yoga. And I outlined the 8 limbs of yoga in our stories this week. And if you haven't had a chance to look at those, you can also find them in the highlights on Instagram on Beginners Yoga. The yogic path to enlightenment are 8 steps or 8 limbs of yoga. The yamas being number 1, and that's the external disciplines, one's relationship to the world of people and objects. So clarify one's relationship to the world of people and objects. 2 is the niyamas, it's the internal discipline. The asanas are our postures. The pranayama is our breath. Pratyahara is the withdrawal of senses. Dhyahara is concentration. Dhinara is absorption. And samadhi is the integration, or the path to realization. So the first 2, the yamas and niyamas, that had to be practiced prior to doing asana, because it's a yogic path, 1 and 2. The yamas are the external disciplines, so clarifying one's relationship to the world and the people and objects, according to the Patañjali book here. And Deborah Adele wrote more about the yamas and niyamas, and she reviews the yamas as not harming ourselves and others, to kindness and compassion for ourselves and others, from lies to half-truths, to expressing the uniqueness and authenticity, from theft to cultivating new skills and ability, from greed to appreciation and pleasure without excess, and from attachment to intimacy without possession. So the first one, I'm going to attempt the Sanskrit on these, so bear with me on some of it. The first yama is ahimsa, which is nonviolence. It is to not kill, hurt, or injury of any kind. It's to constantly be kind, and that's also to yourself. The feelings that we get from this are anger and vengeance and jealousy. Don't try to cause harm or injury. It's the basis of all moral foundation. And it's said that if you follow this one, then you will be following all of them, the rest of the 9 following. But following this one authentically, the other 9 fall in line. So this turns into harming self and others from kindness and compassion for self and others. So the truthfulness, our next one is satya, truthfulness, is to speak, think, and not distort our truth of reality, not our truth, the truth of reality. And when you do this, when you are truthful, your life energy expands. If you're a person who believes in auras, your aura gets bigger. You embody much more of life. So we don't lie because our energy doesn't allow us to lie and to be honest with with who we are as a person. So the ability to uplift and increase other people's energies comes from people who are truthful people. When you don't practice truthfulness, you become a victim, you're helpless, and you become miserable. So the truthfulness turns us from lies and half-truths to expressing our uniqueness and authenticity. The next yama is asteya, or non-stealing. And it's to take without earning, or to take when you don't deserve the fruits of the labor. It's when doing so, we go into karmic debt. So non-stealing turns us from thieves into cultivating new skills and new abilities. So when you stop stealing, you learn who it is that you truly are, and you live that life honestly. The next one is really cool. And this is non-excess. The Sanskrit is brahmacharya, I believe. You can correct me, please do. Brahmacharya. And this is celibacy. And it's not celibacy as in you're not allowed to have sex. It's learning the kind of abuse that you can have with a sexual energy, and learning to control your sexuality in a way that uses our sexual energy wisely. Our sexual energy is also linked to our creativity. So using that wisely. Let's see here. We're not constantly living in this sex on the brain mindset. So the non-excess non-possessiveness turns us from attachment to intimacy without possession. And this isn't done in an oppressive way. It's done because we know how to contain our sexuality and use it for our benefits. So the next one is non-excess, or the Sanskrit is apagarya, I believe. Apagarya. And it's greed. You can have greed for too much, and you can have greed for too less. So this is learning how to be satisfied with the life that you're living, and not buy into the materialism or the consumerism. Because when you live in clutter, if your house is cluttered because you purchase things, your mind is also tends to be cluttered. And we'll get there with the niyamas as well. So this is the thought of having everything it is that you need. So non-excess turns us from greed to appreciation and pleasure without excess. So again, this is the Yamas and Niyamas book. So that is all the yamas, the 5 yamas, onto the niyamas. So we go from what you don't do as a yogi to what it is that you do as a yogi in order to safely practice asanas. The first one is saucha, or purity, cleanliness. And when you have a clean house, there's a different feeling of walking into your house than there is when you have a dirty house and you're walking into that from being out and about. And when you walk into somewhere that you don't have to like instantly mind pick up because, you know, your neighbor came over and now you're embarrassed because your floor looks like that. Oh my God. We've all been there. When you are able to live in a clean way, you're expansive. You feel expansive. So it is an energy that becomes carefully placed in a different way. Deborah Adele explains purity, saucha, the cleanliness, as it invites us to cleanse our bodies, our speech, and our thoughts. The next niyama is santosha, or contentment. And it invites us to fall in love with our own life. It keeps us the feeling of everything is okay. We are calm. It's the ability to be satisfied with who it is that we are as people. And that is truly a gift, to be happy and in love with you. You must first start with yourself before you can love others. So do the work to find that contentment within you, which leads us to tapas, self-discipline. And that is the work. That's the hard work sometimes. It's the effort. It's the do your shit. It's the action. Live life fully. And she explains tapas, self-discipline, as invites us to consciously choose discipline and growth. The next one is self-study, or the Sanskrit is Shwadaya. That's probably wrong. And this is the root of the practice, is to know yourself, to explore yourself and constantly be studying you. And be honest with it is who that you are. It invites us to know ourselves. The last one is devotion to God, or Ashwara Pranadana, the devotion to God, or the bigger picture, to know that we are just a speck on what's the bigger picture, or the devotion to the divine, or as Deborah Adele puts it, surrender. It invites us to pay attention to what life is asking of us. And doing these and practicing these, only then was it safe to perform asanas, or what we know as our yogi practice or yogic practice, setting the moral foundation of who it is to be a yogi and how you use your energy that you get from the physical asanas and put it into your practice and into your life in a way that benefits more than just you. So that is beginner yoga. And that is the important parts and steps that you can have if you are starting from a beginner standpoint. And when I speak of beginners, I speak of anybody who is revisiting a practice after a long hiatus as well. Set your foundation up first before you move on, because as Hosier says, oh gosh, of course I'm gonna forget it. Something about, what is that song? I forgot. I'm sure you guys are all screaming it at me right now. The rest don't matter. If the bones are good, the rest don't matter. There we go. Set your foundation up and you will enjoy the 3 of the 8 limbs to true enlightenment. Thank you for joining me today. I see you guys there. Hello.